Okay, good stuff. Fantastic. Okay, so welcome, and also welcome to people on the replay. Today we're going to be talking about the 6 tactics to be able to get more sales appointments. Let me just share my screen to get onto the presentation. We'll be doing half the session on the content side, and then actually want to start to use the room to come up with other ideas. So if you've got other ideas that kind of you get inspiration as I mentioned things, and a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today is just covering some basics, because if you don't have it, then you might be missing out on those wonderful appointments. And so if you think, actually, I do something slightly differently, well, I've got a segment at the end for a bonus number 7, and I'd love to have a crowdsourced set of other ideas that we could add into the melting pot. So if you do think of them as we go, please do write them down and present them at the end. So part 1, 6 super simple tactics for booking more sales appointments, and then we're working that questions around it. So if you don't know where this fits within our 9-step $1 million sprint thesis, or if you haven't even heard about our 9-step $1 million thesis, this is about a 6,000 word report that I put together after scaling 2 businesses to $1 million in revenue. And this is the basis of a lot of these presentations we do in the Marketing Roundtable. And today really does a head nod to step 5, which is about creating a high converting sales process that relies on scripts and templates, not sales talent. Why do we say that? Is because actually as business owners, we want to be able to take out all the variables, and being really good at sales is a variable. Not everybody is really good at sales. So if you've got somebody in there that is fantastic at sales and is really carrying your organization, if they go, and it could actually be you, by the way, and ultimately you might not want to be stuck in sales all the time. If you lose that talent, if you lose that person, if you go on holiday and you're the only salesperson, therefore the business starts to fall down. And if you're going for a real scale and you are looking to scale your business to $1 million in revenue, you will need to start to bring in processes that doesn't rely on your founder's ability to sell your own stuff. It relies on a system, a structure, and other things in play to be able to make sales happen. So hence why step 5 in what we teach our clients is really, really important, and helps you to extract yourself one day from the business. So let me just stick that into the chat. If you haven't looked at this before, by the way, this is our Mendorsprint website. You see here on the left-hand tab here, it says thesis and process. So this is the story, and this is the businesses. You know, I scaled a marketing agency and a boiler servicing business to $1 million in revenue and sold them both. And so that's the story of that. So here we go. Let's just stick that in the chat. So grab that if you want to, save it for later, and happy days, right? So let's go back to the presentation. Welcome, by the way. There's people jumping into the room as we've been going through this. We're talking about 6 super tactics to be able to scale your sales. Okay, so let's think about this. So step number 1, there is a fantastic thesis around Peter Drucker. So Peter Drucker was a turn of the century management consultant, kind of one of the forefathers of managing consulting. It was never really called that before he came along. And one of the things that he said was, what gets measured gets managed, i.e. what you actually track, you actually look at, and you look at those numbers. And we always like to take that a little bit further to say what gets measured gets improved. And if you are tracking how many people are able to book your appointments, then you can start to improve that. And how you can start to improve that is by looking at the data. So for example, this is just an example that we took of how many people are viewing our page, right? And so if we have a page on our website around how booking a sales appointment, which many of you may not even have, if you have a sales appointment that you want people to book and you brand it and you put it on a page, a web page, and you put traffic into that, then you can start to look at the data. So for example, this page had 323 views, but you can see the week that went previously, or the month that went previously, is the dotted line, which had less. And so therefore we're improving how many views that we're getting onto our appointments, right? And if you start to think about that, well, if you haven't got it on your website, if you haven't got a page such as this free strategy session on your website, if you're offering something like that, or if you haven't even branded what the sales appointment is, then you don't have a tangible thing to be saying to people, right? So if it's just a case of someone will phone you up and go, oh, can I have a quote? they're asking for what they want. They want the quote. If you're actually going out to people and say, oh, hey, no, we don't jump straight into quotes. What we do is we do a strategy session. We work out where you are now, where you want to be in the future, how we can get you there. And we add value. Now you've created a branded thing that actually is more important than just them getting the price. It's about actually you informing and helping and update them, right? And so hence why, if you brand it, you create a page for it, and then you can measure that page. What gets measured gets improved, right? So it's kind of 2 tips in one here. Make sure you have the page for it, and therefore you can pitch what it is. So look, the most valuable 90 minutes I spent all year. Reserve your space now for a branded $3 million sprint strategy session. You know, what is the name of your sales appointment? Is it a discovery session? Is it a strategy session? Is it a free coaching session? Is it a on-site appraisal? No obligation on-site quotation, whatever it might be. So now if we branded it, and then you can say, look, in this, we're going to be doing this part 1, part 2, part 3. And then also you then start to seed success. So you can then say, look, here's some successful people that have worked on with you in the past. And you can start to, we bring like results and stuff where people have are winning in the past. So people, doing 110,000 in 24 hours. And just 14K months, 15K contracts. So that stuff seeds the success of why someone should do your thing. So you go brand it, give them what the agenda is, show why someone should book it, ask them again, right? So if you don't have that page, you could be missing out on that. And then once you have that page, making sure that you're tracking those results and seeing how many people are going to the page, and therefore, is it improving each month? And are you therefore getting more appointments from it? Are you getting more page views from it? Cool. Step 2, whenever you are thinking about getting more sales appointments, sell the appointment, not your product, right? And so you can see here in this page very simply, but I'm going to do a diagram in a second. I'm not selling anything to do with the $1 million sprint. We talk about use the above link to book your seat. In the time we spend together, we will look at where are you now, where you want to be in 12 months, what campaigns and processes will get you there, and then is there a way we can help, right? I'm not selling, you should sign up our thing and it's got this amazing bullet point and this thing and this thing and this thing and this thing. It's not about the product. It's about them and where they are and how you can further help them, further give them support, etc. So say, for example, you're doing an on-site assessment of your client. One of the things that you might do is say, look, we'll go and do the on-site assessment. And it's really important that we just book that, because the benefit of us booking that is that we are able to give you some advice on actually the logistics of how to do this and what's the best way to do it, and anything that you might not have seen, because we're the trained people. We see these things from a health and safety point of view, or from how many boxes you might need to be delivered if you're doing that, or if you're going on, or if you're a marketing person and you're going inside and say, look, I'd love to talk to you a bit more about how I can get you more leads and how I can get more sales, and actually do an audit on where you are now. So it's all value. And it's about actually what they're going to get from the meeting, as opposed to you saying, buy my stuff, right? So you always sell the appointment. How this means, we talk to a lot of clients about awareness, consider, convert. So if you are, for example, doing a LinkedIn campaign, so many of the clients that we work with, so coaches, marketeers, expert businesses, etc., service sector businesses, they will be finding people on LinkedIn. Yeah, they may be Facebook, maybe something else, but some people find people on LinkedIn. So they'll be doing searches such as CEO plus, manufacturing plus, Bedfordshire plus UK, right? And so they'll be finding that search. So we'll find a pool of people there. Now, a lot of people make the mistake then of trying to sell the product to them straight off the bat. Whereas if you want more sales appointments and therefore ultimately more opportunities to make more sales, you need to bring them into something that's like a consideration event. So we talk about awareness, finding your audience, talking to them, bring them into consideration. So that might be the weekly moment. That might be a podcast you're doing. Could be an event like this. Could be a new YouTube video you put out. Something that is your piece of content, some sort of thought leadership. That's where they can start to consider you better. And then from that piece of thought leadership, again, you're not pitching the product. From that piece of thought leadership, you say, hey, if you loved what we just talked about here, and you want to spend a bit more time thinking about how it relates to your business, then come and book a strategy session with us, or come and book a discovery call with us, or come and book something else with us. And so therefore, that information, you're only doing the pitch to say all the benefits of them coming to strategy session to get more value. So this is free value. This is, again, free value. And only after they've got that free value, do you then talk about product at the end of the strategy session, after you've added more free product. And so those things together means that you're going to therefore make more sales off the back of it, right? So make sure that you're only pitching one step ahead of when that person is. If you try and pitch product here, you'll have less sales appointments and ultimately less sales because of it, right? So pitch at the right time. Cool. So sell the product, sell the appointment, not the product. And as I demonstrated there, this is that awareness, consider, convert. That's the piece I just talked about. The bit at the bottom, by the way, is how you deliver. So delight, gamify, and advocacy. That's what we talk about a bit more when we talk about your flagship products. So for now, we're just looking at this because that gets you to sales, convert. Third, use meeting scheduling software. And hopefully we've all kind of, started to get used to this now, but God knows how many times I see people still trying to arrange emails to say, hey, could you do Wednesday or morning or Thursday afternoon or whatever it is? And the issue with that is that you just start to lose momentum when you're trying to book an appointment with someone, particularly when they're booking into your sales meeting. If you get them really excited and say, hey, grab one of our slots, and therefore they can go onto your Calendly and tie into the diary that way, then that's confirmed straight away. But also the point is they get the email. It handles all the sticking into their calendar. It handles actually sending you notifications that that person is booked. It can handle group booking. So if you wanted to do a group sales appointment, you could have multiple people booking in. Really go to town on these softwares because they are so hyper efficient in terms of reminders, text messages, anything that can go out. We pay the premium thing for Calendly, which sends texts out and all the rest of it. It handles it. And if you're not using that, you're going to probably get less sales appointments because it's less easy to get people to actually book straight in, particularly if they're just filling in web forms. And then it gets, it used to be. So back in the day when we were doing our marketing agency, it used to be a case that we would put together a form on someone's website to book an appointment, and they would then use the drop down to say, I want to see you on Thursday at Wednesday, Thursday at 2:00, wherever, and fill in this form. And what would happen, those forms sometimes went into junk mail, or sometimes got missed, or went to one of the guys in sales who was on holiday, and it just always missed, or they hadn't kind of updated the calendar on the actual website thing, and so it was an appointment that they could never do because they weren't there, and it's just a mess. So if you don't have a proper scheduling software, seriously start to use that and have that on your website as well. Don't say to people, oh, apply for an application, get people to actually book into the diary. Cool. All right. Enough said on that. Point number 4 is to work the DMs. So you will have a ton of social media followers, and you'll have a ton of people that might engage in your post. So if you're spending any time or energy putting anything to working on social media, you will find yourself, when you've got people commenting, liking stuff, you may be having chats with people, do seriously reach out and have a conversation with people. For example, this, I've got someone in here asking on the DMs, I've got a business that's looking to launch next 3 months. I'd like to discuss marketing with you. I'd also love to be a guest on my podcast, etc. And so it's just an example of, say, great, you can jump into my diary, bam, straight in, and then giving them the link. Work those DMs. We always say to people to clam when they're in social media. So what that means is that you want to comment, like, ask, manage. Add, message, right? So let me just show you what that means. Is that if you're working the DMs on social media, you're actually working and having conversations with people. what that will create is the ability to show your expertise and to work them towards a strategy session. Let me just put this down. So for example, if someone, let me just go look at a recent post that I put together. If you're putting out social media content and people are liking stuff, we'll talk about engagement creators as being one of the core things that people should be doing on social media, something that gets people talking. So for example, this week, we did an engagement creator around sales, because of this event was about sales. I'm just looking here, just looking at our posts. So when we start to, here we go. So here you go. So I wonder how people look at this and how they track qualified leads into appointments. Right. So we're doing an engagement creating that's around the content that we're putting out on our weekly moment. We get 36 votes there. And so what that means is that's 36 opportunities for us to actually engage with these people and to invite them into a sales appointment or to have a conversation with people. And so don't miss out on this potential here. And so when you see this, you go through, actually, okay, I can see you've got votes in here. Okay, this person is a second degree connection. That's interesting. Right, so now I can clam this person. So I can comment, I can like what they commented, I can add that person, and then I can message them. So for example, here I can go down to this person's content. I can go and look at this and go, okay, that's interesting. He's just talked about my stuff and there's something cool on here. So I can go and comment, right? Really great tips. Plug and play scripture. Great tips. Plug and play script generator. Would love to see an example. There you go. See example. Well, cool, something like that, right? So you can post that there. So I've commented, I'm going to like it. There you go. I'm now going to add him, and then I can actually message him. So I go to his full profile, connect. There you go. And then I can add a note. So that's adding him, and then the message. Hi, James. Thanks for your vote on my sales poll. How's 2022 for you, right? Something like that. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just starting to have a conversation. So I'm opening up the conversation with someone that's voted on my stuff, who's engaged on my content, and who's in my target audience, and someone that I could potentially help. That's great. So if he connects my connection request, he's going to then have that message in his inbox. And so therefore a conversation starts. The hope will be is that then he'll start to talk about projects that he wants to start to grow. And then I can start to go, well, look, maybe I can show you some ideas about how you might be able to grow your copywriting business. And he might go, yes, that's cool. And I say, great. Well, then let's book a strategy session. Cool. And that's just, it's a simple numbers game of working those DMs and working those conversations, right? So don't miss out on that. Good. Number 5 is make sure you follow up to prevent no-shows. So Calendly is awesome for this. And this is an example of the type of follow-ups you can put together. And so if you haven't really optimized your Calendly yet, do that. The reason why is that you can have follow-up sequences to make sure people actually come to these events. And I covered this a little bit off when I was talking about scheduling tools, but it allows for something called workflows in Calendly. And see, in Calendly here, I've got 2 different workflows, and essentially I've got different events in these different workflows. So one of these workflows is an email and a text reminder to invitees 24 hours beforehand. And the second one is an email and text reminder 30 minutes beforehand. And so therefore I can put all of the different events that I have, and I go into this. So when this happens, 24 happens, then to do this and send those. So I can go into these and I can go and edit this and easily change the text. So you can say, right, send this and send this type of email. I can go edit that email. I can then say, hey, really looking forward to seeing this. You can say something like, in preparation for this event, why don't you watch this video, or why don't you do this scorecard? And then you can do another one, which is just 24 hours before. So send invite text to them. So that text again can come from you. All the best, Richard Woods. Just for a friendly reminder, we got this. So these type of reminders have seriously increased our show up rate. We used to have, a show up rate of about 50%. We're about 78 to just under 80% now because of this follow-up. So it's just simply a text and an email 24 hours beforehand, and then half an hour beforehand. Change the game. And it's so easy to put together and so easy to edit. As you can see, just a little simple workflow like this. And it then applies to all of your events if you want it to do. And why wouldn't you? It will seriously help your show up rate. So if you haven't got that, definitely get that sorted. Cool. Okay, and last but not least, make sure it's not always the right time. And this is just a bit of a nod to that weekly moment or the information. Just understand that sometimes not everybody's ready to jump on a strategy session, and only the right people at that right time will jump onto it, and make sure that you have the volume that you want to work in your favor. So what we mean by that is that we say to a lot of our clients, aim for 30, 25, 2. Right? So what that means is 30 people registering for your weekly moment or an event, or if we say if it's going to be like a YouTube video or a live, you add a 0. So you want to have 300 people watch the live, or 30 people actually register for an event. And so that's how you can start to work those numbers. 20 people actually attend that event. So these are attendees. Of there, about 5 people will book in your strategy session. So that's your strategy session. And then from that 5 people booking strategy session, you had 2 sales, right? So 30, 25, 2. That is the heartbeat for this. And just understand that means that 10 people who registered, it wasn't ready for them to turn up. It wasn't right. They got busy or whatever. Of the 20 people, 15 of them weren't ready to do a strategy session. So that's cool. They may want to do it another time. And then of that, just 2 people were ready to buy. So just understand that some people, are not, 15 of those people are not ready yet. So what do you do with those 15 people? Well, you can keep on looping them back into your weekly moment. That's why you do it weekly, because it means that you can keep on warming people up weekly. Or if people that you've seen, last time you saw them was in Jan, you can keep on inviting them into a weekly moment until they're ready. And then they're like, oh, okay, I will turn to that one because it was an interesting subject, right? Or they just happen to have an opportunity to be able to jump onto it, right? So the more that you start to push this forward and the rhythm that you get, the more that you'll actually be, have a process and a system to make sure that you're hitting these numbers, the 30, 25, 2, but also you've got a system to make sure you're looping back to the people that didn't book in, and you can keep on giving them more information, helping them out, working it through, right? So that, my friends, is number 6. So all I want to say now is I hope those tips have been good. Let's get some bonus tips from the room, and then I want to, I've got a couple of other ideas I want to share with you. So thoughts, gang, bonus tips from the room. What have what have you been seeing in terms of booking more sales appointments, or good tools or technology or methodology to do that? Thoughts, gang?
Well, I'll just jump in. I think I've shared this with you before, Richard, but it's the psychology of obviously getting the more sales appointments. It does mean that you're going to get a lot of rejection as well. And what I've always done in the past, and I do it for myself and I do it with my own sales teams, is every time I get a no or a rejection, I actually reward myself or put it towards a reward. We used to pay our sales teams, if they got 50 rejections, they got a Marks and Spencer's voucher or a bonus or something, and if I get 10 rejections, I'll have a Chinese takeaway tonight just to reward myself. So it's that psychological thing of actually, even if you're doing the no's, you're getting to the yeses, basically. So it's not a technology, it's just an old 40 years of salesman doing it, back in the day in a Ford Cortina and a wire coat hanger in the back of the car. So.
I love it. So the point being is that if you are getting no's on your sales, then that's okay, because Go for No. That's an actual book. It's worth a little read. It's only a small book, and it's just that, like Richard said, the more no's that you get, the closer you are to a yes, and have that methodology and actually feel fine with that when you do get a no.
But I'd also say you need to measure the no's as well as, have a look at why you're getting the no's, because you also need to say, well, if I change this, maybe I'll convert more. So don't just go blindly for the no's, because that's not good either. Exactly. But yeah, tweak it. It's like you say, test and measure.
Test and measure. I like it. Well, look, gang. I want to take another tip from the room. But just before I do, I want to open up the opportunity for you guys to actually spend a bit of time with me, because remember, the tips that we put together and this type of stuff is working for our clients. The type of clients we're working with are making sales. So this is Gavin, who's making his third mastermind in a week. This is Jamie, who's selling an 8K flagship product. This is Lilac, who sold a 3K product and before she even has built it. So this is the type of thing that we help clients to do, 9K there. So we've got clients that are getting results. So if you wanted to jump on a strategy session with us, and obviously I've shown you the process today, and you understand that in that session, we're going to be very much as another value session. We do it once a week at 12:30 on a Wednesday. So that's i.e. 12:30 at lunchtime today. And we're going to be talking about, where are you now? Where are you? And where would you like to be in 12 months time? And actually, what does that look like for your business? And things like, headcount and growth and the size of your business. What are you selling to get there? Part two is then what campaigns and processes will help you get there. So are you running LinkedIn automation? Are you running Facebook ads? Are you doing some sort of scorecard or weekly moment? Whatever it is, what campaign will be right for you? And we'll go through that. And then finally, if it's appropriate, we'll look at if there's a way $1 Million Sprint can help you with that, but only if we feel that is appropriate, right? So I'd love to invite you guys along to that. And I'm just going to drop the link so you can book into the chat now. Again, it's just pure value session. So this is the link that we're presenting today. So there's complete transparency. It's value. That's the whole point of it. So that's the $1 Million Sprint strategy session there. The page that you go onto, by the way, will just show you there's an appointment only on Wednesdays. Look, here you go. So only on Wednesdays, and it's only one. It's 12:30. So there's still space on this one on Wednesday today. So do jump onto that if you can make it. If not, jump into one of those later in the month. So jump onto that now. Did I drop that in the chat? I did. So it's in the chat now for you guys to have a look. If you're watching this on replay, it'll be below in a comment below. Cool. Good. Looking forward to seeing you guys on there. So back into the room now, gang. Thoughts upon sales or questions upon sales. And actually, I'd love to kind of brainstorm some ideas around that. Thoughts on sales, guys? Questions? Just thinking, I can go really quiet. I'm fine with it.
You want me to say something? It's me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got two now. Don't jump. Okay, go for it. Ladies first, shall we? Alex, go for it.
Of course, Alex.
Just say that if you want to really have a business and be known as a business, then you have to show up. So your face becomes familiar. Like, I'm looking at Richard now, Richard Gilbert. I've seen you. I've become familiar with you, so I understand. I see you. You know what I mean? And John Z.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with you. And maybe if we want to find out more about you and blah 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 blah. That's it.
Well, I think that's the point, is that consistency. So we always talk about if someone's going to actually buy something online, there's a few things that they are looking for when they want to make a considered buying purchase. And let me just jump and move all of this out of the way. So they're looking for sort of four things. that gets them actually into a decision where they'll buy a considered product to help them to be able to do something, right? So we're looking for leadership. We want someone to be able to help us. We go from sporadically not really knowing, or go from sort of not really knowing who to go and turn to. So many people out there to going, oh, actually, I now see, Alex is the person that's the expert on what she does, right? And then we go into community, and we go from going, well, I don't really know anybody else that's kind of got this problem to, oh, I found a room for the people that got similar businesses to me, doing similar stuff, who are asking similar questions to me. Okay, I'm in the right room. I'm in the right group, right? And I go from going, well, actually, I don't really know personally how this stuff applies to me. I'm not really sure, to actually why this would work, to I'm being able to ask questions and get them answered, and people are applying these ideas to me, and okay, I can see why that would work. And then finally, we go to routine, which is I go from sporadically trying to solve this to, as Alex said, knowing the people, knowing the room, being there regularly, making a habit of actually learning from that person, or making a habit of seeing that person, or being entertained or educated by that person. And so therefore, I now see them as the leader. I know that I'm amongst my peers. I'm getting personalized advice, and I'm doing this as a habit. It's become routine. So if you got people into that place, then that's the best way to be able to move them to a sales appointment, and then ultimately move them to being a client. And so that piece, a lot of people forget. Some people just send out content. But that's leadership. You're not ticking off community, personalization, and routine. And hence why a weekly moment with something like this, where you can actually interact with people, then that's the best way to be able to tick all of those boxes and do it for free for a small slice of time each week. And that should bring enough people in who are in the right place to actually be part of the 5 people that you want to book each week into a strategy session. Make sense? Cool. So that familiarity is important, and great to design that in that way. Cool. I hope that helped. Michael, over to you with your question. Mr. Bate, Michael. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I was only going to make an observation, Richard, rather than
that's cool.
Question, because everyone was quiet.
Well, what was your observation?
So I'm a 25-year employee. Life is easy, but now I've been 6 months set up my own recruitment agency, so it's sales. I've never worked in an environment that is such a roller coaster.
Yeah. 1 minute
you're on, 1 minute you're off, then you're in, then you're not. I was just making an observation to get the conversation going, I guess. I go and chase ads on LinkedIn and approach the decision makers and do a video to personally introduce myself.
Like it.
I find that gets me more business than cold emails. I actually do all right, but it's a lot of up and down.
Yeah, that's a great tactic, especially as a recruiter, to actually be able to see those people and find those people and spend a bit more time with them. And then, of course, once you have that database of people that you've sent those videos out to and you've introduced yourself, what are you doing to therefore keep on warming them up? So there's, we talk about awareness, consider, convert. So they've just become aware of you because you sent them a video to, to say hi. And then how are they coming to consider you? What's the next step?
Well, I think the hardest part is the open rates of videos. Like, it's not very high. It's only probably 20-30% people actually view the videos. So I'm at the point of going, well, how do I get people to view them? Do I LinkedIn message them? Do I email them directly? How do I warm them up once they've done it? I'm not there yet.
How do you send the video to them currently?
If I have their work email address, I will email it to them with a link so it has a thumbnail. Mm-hmm. If I'm a first line connection on LinkedIn, I'll message them through LinkedIn.
And you send the videos a DM.
Otherwise, it doesn't. If I'm a second line connection, I'll try and connect with them first. So LinkedIn priority. Because of Australia it's not the GDPR, it's the Spam Act. So you've got to be careful emailing. So if I'm a first line connector, I'll try and connect with them if they're not, and do LinkedIn first. Plus it presents better.
Yeah, exactly. And it's there, it's easy. So then once we've got that email, what's wrong with maybe putting some recruitment tips out, some thought leadership stuff? That's the warming up piece. It could be as simple as a long-term warming up email system. So for example, if you think about your awareness, you're pushing people in, you're doing a video intro in here to them, that's their awareness. From there, you can find their email, drop them straight into a bit of an email warming up sequence. So that could be, recruitment tips or the state of the market in 2022, whatever it is, recruitment tips. And then I would try a bit of an event. So once you start to get, 100 odd people into here, you can say, right, I'm now running an event that we're going to be talking about, how to recruit XYZ role in a difficult market, or how to stand out as an employer in a difficult recruitment market. Then that's where you start to get your 30, 20, 5, 2, because they're starting to come in to actually do this event. And you can do that as a one-off, because then, it's a nice pump. You get a couple of sales. You don't get your 30, 25, 2 the first time you run it, by the way. It's about rhythm. You've got to get good at pitching both things. But that's database here that you're creating lots and lots of awareness, doing that activity on awareness, but actually there's nothing happening. Consider, we're hoping that awareness goes all the way to convert, and that's the piece that we're missing in the middle, that warming up piece. That means that this person you might have got because actually that person was desperate, so they just went straight in and worked with you, whereas that person wasn't really, but actually in a few weeks time they may be desperate and someone else might grab them and put them into convert. And if you're not warming them up, they're going to forget you after a week, 2 weeks max, and so that warming up piece is important.
Because there are I get a lot of people right back and say, not yet, thanks for the video. Don't say that often. I could collate them, as you say.
Yep.
Because you tend to forget about them. No,
and a lot of people, I was going to say, a lot of people get worried about actually the email addresses on LinkedIn. So the point being is I'm a first degree connection, right? So this is my take on the GDPR stuff, right? I'm a first degree connection with Jack here. Jack is, we're connected, and Jack has said, here's my contact info. I've added a button to my profile that has my contact info on it. Cool. Okay. Let's have a look. And I've come onto it. And although his email address isn't on there, so he hasn't added it in there, his mobile phone's on there. So if I wanted to send him a text or for a phone number and have a chat with him that way, I could do it. So if you wanted to WhatsApp him over that video, you could WhatsApp him over that video. His content is on there. So other people have got email addresses, etc. in there. So as our first degree connection, he is giving me that information to contact him. So therefore, I feel like there is a reason for me to contact him. And so I'll use it. Yeah, that's what he's asked for. So that's...
Yeah, first line, I'm comfortable. First line, I'm very, very comfortable. Second degree, it's funny, I hesitate, but I still do it.
Okay, good stuff. Cool. Well, look, guys, it's those sort of tactics and that type of working through that we do within that strategy session. And thank you for the people that have already booked in on today's session. Just as a quick reminder, it's a strategy session 12:30 today or 12:30 any Wednesday. Group session, and we go through where you are now, where you want to be. It's a small sort of 3 to 5 people session, and the links in the chat there. So do jump on and book into that, and we'll be able to introduce you to some cool people, and I'll be taking the session and we'll be looking at what your plan is in there. So looking forward to seeing you guys there. So book into that strategy session. But I'm still sticking around for another 5 minutes. So if you've got further questions going, I'm happy to take those questions and give you any insights that you might want, or any questions around sales that have come about from this call. Back into the room, gang.
Just one question. What's your feeling about, I suppose this is again an old fashioned thing, like the breakfast networking meetings, BNI and all those kind of things. I certainly, from what Alex was saying, it's great to build familiarity, and I mean, particularly with BNI, you've got to be there every week, and if you're not there 3 weeks on the trot or whatever, you're shot at the back around the back of the car park and stuff. But do you think that networking like that is old-fashioned now? Is there any value to that? What are your thoughts on that, Richard?
It really depends. So if you are a local photographer that does photos of, you know, kids photos or baby bump photos or whatever it is, brilliant thing to be part of a business networking like a BNI, because everybody's looking for referrals and they're easy things to refer, and you'll get loads of referrals. Mike, for example, in this call, I know Mike was part of BNI for a while for his removals business, and so everybody needs a removals or knows someone that's moving.
Yeah, I still am, and I'll be honest with you, it is probably 40% of my business.
Yeah.
And what we found out is we're getting referrals off referrals, and a lot of repeat business, and it is great to be in a room like that. And it might be that just my business is really set up for it. The other thing about that is there isn't really any other removals company being for some bizarre reason. So I hoover up most of Surrey. So
yeah, see that can work. It works well from that point of view.
Yeah.
So it's about product market fit, right? So as a business that used to run events in Farnborough, and they were events that were only like 99 quid to come along to, it was good for me. And I was a member of a BNI for a while back in the day. It was good because it was a low cost thing, and it was location based. Perfect. So I went into the Farnborough group and people came to it. I got attendees off the back of that. Now I'm running an accelerator that's for only a specific type of business, expert businesses. And it's for people that are ambitious, that want to actually scale to $1 million in revenue. That's a bit more of a niche specific reach. And it's also of an ambition. Now, I'm not saying the people in BNI are not ambitious, but what I am saying is that it's very insular, and there may be only one person in my target market in that group. And so therefore you're relying on the group to refer you to other people outside the group. And so it's too, and I'm good at marketing, right? So I actually don't really need to do, I kind of got this now, not the marketing sorted. So I don't need to be part of a group. I always say it's better to spend your energy to create your own room, you know, like something like this, than to go to someone else's room and hope that one referral comes waddling into the room and to help. When you're the expert type businesses that we help, someone like yourself potentially could be in that category as well, Richard. Whereas someone like Mike definitely is in the right business to be able to get that B2C goodwill, because everybody in the room might need to use Mike. And Mike doesn't just do removals, house removals. He will also take a sofa away, or you were talking about flat pack furniture and putting stuff up like that previously.
Yeah.
So you can see that's how I would play those two things.
Thank you.
Cool. Right, guys. Well, look, I hope that's been great, and I've really enjoyed hanging out with you. Good to see people that have joined. Ellen and Charlie, I think you're both first timers, so great to see you. If I've missed anybody there that hasn't been here for the first time, fantastic to see you as well. And do jump onto those strategy sessions, guys. I'd love to hang out more, because that's where I get to find out more about you guys as well, which is always good fun. Cool. So next week, we'll see you at another roundtable. You will get the emails from us. Everybody does. Bye, Charlie's little one. We didn't quite catch your name, but you're very sweet. And we will catch you on the flip side. So toodle pip. And
Jack.
Oh, sorry, Charlie.
His name is Jack.
Hey, Jack. Oh, we had a set. You also, we had Jack as a demo on the LinkedIn as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
So there you go. Lovely name, Jack.
Yeah.
Okay. See? Bless you. All right. Well, have a lovely time, guys, and we'll catch you later. And see you next week. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.